people who've got pregnant from a one-night stand, what's your story? How did you break it to him, and what was her reaction? Story 1. My boyfriend's one-night stand told him that she's pregnant with his baby. My boyfriend admits he hasn't had the best experiences in the past due to poor life choices and bad parenting from his own parents. Now that he wants to take a different path, one where he can make his life better, he's determined to stay on track and do what's right for himself and his family. Then suddenly, a woman he had a one-night stand with in the past showed up and told him she is pregnant with his baby. Although I love my boyfriend very much, I am not happy with the news. I don't blame him because neither of them wanted this to happen. The pregnancy was an accident and the result of foolishness. At first, they both agreed on abortion. But when the scheduled date came, the woman backed out due to moral dilemmas and decided to keep the baby with her boyfriend's support. Now this whole situation deeply upsets me and leaves me feeling very unsettled. The thought of a future where this child will exist, even though they've agreed to cut ties with my boyfriend after the birth, makes me shiver. Before we continue, do us a quick favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to support our channel. Story 2. I got pregnant from a one-night stand and the father doesn't know. Last year, I had a one-night stand with someone local. A few days later, I realized he had blocked me and deleted his Instagram. Even though I hadn't done anything to prompt this, I never contact people unless they contact me first. Weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Not long after that, he unblocked my number and asked to meet up again. I agreed, obviously planning to tell him about the pregnancy. The next day, I messaged him to confirm plans and saw he had blocked my number again. I deleted his contact and messages, thinking I just can't be bothered dealing with someone who keeps blocking me out of nowhere. Now, I've given birth to a wonderful little girl, but lately, the guilt has been rising. The fact that she'll never know her father, and that he doesn't even know she exists, is hard to sit with. Like I said, he deleted his Instagram. I am guessing his Facebook is either private or also deleted, since I can't find him there either. I contacted Apple to try to restore the number, but since it was from last year, they couldn't help. I even rejoined Tinder, that's how we met, hoping he might still have an account, but no luck there either. I have one photo of him that I've shown to people, usually the kind who know everyone, but no one recognizes him. I honestly can think of any other way to find him. And now I am wondering, should I just give up and live with the guilt? Story 3. When I was 25, I was a tattoo artist working with my best friends. One of them came in, and we went bowling after work, and I got drunk. I told him the woman from our friend's wedding was super hot, and his girlfriend called her and asked her to come to the bowling alley. She was heavily tattooed, and we hit it off instantly, even though she was light years out of my league. So, my friend and his girlfriend bailed, and she needed a ride home. Naturally, I obliged, and things went as expected. I hadn't spoken to her since, mostly out of fear that she didn't want anything more than a drunken hookup. Sometime later, I got a phone call to come hang out and everything was chill. She lived with mutual friends, so we just played games and drank, though she wouldn't. Weird, but maybe she just wasn't a drinker. At the end of the night, I went to leave, and she walked out to my car and told me she was pregnant, Catholic, and that we needed to figure out what to do. I said nothing. I got in my car, left, and packed my bags for Mexico. It's been 9 years. Our daughter is 8. Her birthday is in 2 weeks. Her sister is 2. And their beautiful, intelligent, and clearly insane mother married me, against all the protest from her family. I've been the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. Edit. Both kiddos are mine. First one proven, second one is mine as well. Edit 2. Clarity. I never went to Mexico. Just packed. We were at the bowling alley right after work. I got drunk, she showed up, and I had already quit drinking, knowing she was coming, didn't want to be sloppy. We bowled for 6 hours. Then I took her home. Was I drunk? No. Was it a smart move? No. Story 4. I just found out yesterday that I am pregnant by a man I had a one-night stand with. I missed my period and decided to take a test. It was positive. I called him, even though we hadn't spoken since that night, and told him while obviously freaking out. He tried his best to stay calm and asked me to meet him out. I did, I kind of just cried for a few hours, and we didn't really talk about many options other than me saying I wanted an abortion. He came over to my house later that night and told me he thinks abortions are wrong, that he can agree with them morally, and that he wants to keep the baby. He kept talking about how he was almost excited because this would be his first baby, etc. I respect his morals, but I also tried to reason with him, that I am a stranger to him, that he knows absolutely nothing about me, that babies are so hard. I have a 2-year-old whom I co-parent with my ex-fiancé, and that we'd be bringing a child into a broken, unstable home. I made an appointment for an abortion this morning, scheduled for the 8th of next month. I haven't told him yet because I just feel so guilty, like I am ripping something away from him, but I seriously cannot imagine myself co-parenting with him. We are also not financially in a position to be ready for this. I just don't know what to do from here, if I should even tell him, or what. Would it be wrong to go through with an abortion even though he is adamantly against it? Should I be trying to find some sort of compromise? I don't even know how I could possibly compromise. Story 5. I had a terrible, stupid, blackout drunk one-night stand. A mutual friend of mutual friends. I knew of her but didn't really know her. Fast forward 2 weeks, she calls me and says she's pregnant. She's taken a bunch of pregnancy tests. Honestly, she's not the type who would put a baby on me. I don't think. She seems like a nice person. I went over to her house. She showed me the tests, and we talked. I gave her time to make a decision. She wants to keep it. I want nothing more in this world than for it to be gone. I don't want it. Wrong person, wrong time, completely terrible mistake. She's keeping it. And I quote, because I couldn't live with myself if I aborted it. No. I am not running from responsibility. I don't want it because I grew up in instability. My brothers grew up without dads. That has a hard impact on kids. And we sometimes don't even realize it as adults. I am the most successful of my siblings, and I am still barely making it. My brothers are dead, incarcerated, or on drugs. I am only different because my dad was present and tried. We were still poor. I grew up going between houses. It sucks. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I am sick to my stomach thinking about it. I feel bad for not wanting the child, and I feel even worse for thinking that if she has it, I want no part in its life. But logically, we are only 2 weeks in. We can fix this mistake, learn a lesson, move on, and continue with our lives. But because she doesn't want to, morally, it's going to put her, the baby, and me through the agony of everyone hating their role in this situation. I hate myself. I am trying not to hate her, or this kid. I am not a bad person, but this is an easily fixable problem that isn't being fixed because of feelings. Feelings, morals, and religion have never paid a bill, stayed up with kids, fed them, bathed them, or worked a schedule around them. She says, I have the option of being in the child's life and that she's not going to force me to be involved. But no offense, I don't believe that coming from a hormonal woman having her first child at 25. I am an idiot. I made a horrible mistake, and I own that. Am I wrong for thinking that, logically, we could fix this? Neither of us wants to be in this situation, but only one of us refuses to do their part in fixing it. Story 6. I got pregnant from a one-night stand. I 24 got pregnant from a one-night stand. I found out very quickly. I am 5 weeks pregnant. I am kind of freaking out. Actually, not kind of. I just am freaking out. It's so strange, because I really wasn't worried about being pregnant. My coworker, who I am close with, asked me if I was okay because I seemed like I was acting differently lately. I told him I was just feeling kind of sick every so often. Especially in the mornings. I know I am an idiot. But in my defense, I have IBS and anxiety, so it wasn't abnormal for me to feel this way on some mornings. Anyway, he was alarmed and asked if I could be pregnant. I said no. But then I realized I was 2 days late. This wasn't alarming to me at first either, because I have endometriosis, so my periods can be unpredictable. But on my way home, on a literal whim, I bought an at-home pregnancy test. Yup, I took 4, and all of them immediately tested positive. I went to the ER because I was in absolute disbelief. They confirmed I was 5 weeks pregnant. ultrasound and all. They said it was growing healthily and normally so far. They told me the predicted due date, which was so triggering. I get that it's probably standard procedure, but damn, and then they sent me home. I am shocked. I am confused. I am scared. Pregnancy termination is not legal in my state, but I've told trusted people, so I know I still have safe options. My life isn't really in the best place right now, if I am being honest. But for some reason, I am struggling to come to terms with the fact that abortion is probably the best option. I know I am not in love with this guy, and this is not how I imagined having a child. But I love children so much, and for my whole life I've wanted to be a mother. On top of that, I used to struggle with severe anorexia along with the endometriosis, so I never even thought this could be possible. I was told it would be a struggle throughout my teens and adult life. I feel like, even though people are saying they'll help me if I decide to keep it, I couldn't provide what I would want to give them. Selfishly, the idea of aborting the baby feels devastating. Unfortunately, time is of the essence. I am going to have to eventually tell the guy who got me pregnant, and I know I need to figure out my decision beforehand. I just feel so overwhelmed. Has anyone been through this, even something remotely similar? How long do I have to decide? Is it wrong if I go through with either of these options? Will I regret an abortion? Please. I know I probably deserve a lot of reality checks right now, but be gentle. I am in absolute tears typing this, and I don't think any number of characters on a Reddit post could express how absolutely tormented and confused I feel at the moment. Story 7. My girlfriend is pregnant from a one-night stand. I, 33, female, met my girlfriend, also 33, female, when we were in school. We've known each other for 22 years. We were really close as kids, but we had major blowout fights in our teenage years, which led to a few years of not speaking. During that time, my girlfriend got married at age 21 and had 2 children. She reached out to me again when she was pregnant with her second child, and we quickly fell back into a close friendship. When she got married, she moved 3.5 hours away from our hometown, and I had never visited her there. When I finally did, it was very clear she was in an abusive marriage, both mentally and physically. She was not coping well with raising 2 young kids alone, with no support from family or friends. Over the next few years, I spent more and more time with her. Eventually, I helped her leave her ex-husband, 40, male. We started talking constantly, spending time together, going on holidays with the kids. Then one day, she told me she loved me, but loved me. I was in shock. I genuinely thought I was unlovable. I suffer from severe depression and anxiety and basically hated myself at that time. It took me almost 6 months to agree to be in a relationship with her because I wasn't sure if it was real love or if she was just emotionally messed up. Our first year together was wonderful. We still lived far apart, but we got along so well, and I had never felt this way about anyone before. Honestly, she was my first relationship, and I was her first lesbian relationship, so everything felt new and exciting. But then things started to go wrong. She often asked for help disciplining the kids, but whenever I stepped in and told them off, she would either get annoyed or contradict me, like letting her daughter eat 20 bags of crisps for breakfast because she could. She had a very relaxed, honestly lazy parenting style. It all came to a head during a camping trip. The tent broke on the first day and I was forced to buy a new one and set it up mostly by myself. She was completely useless. Then every single day she found more to blame me for. The kids were hungry, we didn't have sunscreen, the drinks were left in the car park was too far from the beach. I was doing the majority of the childcare the whole time, just to give her a break. I even took the kids for half a day so she could have several hours to herself. But the moment I had the audacity to rest for 5 minutes, she'd go off on me. I'll admit, I was angry a lot during that trip. I was hypersensitive to criticism, and I probably interpreted some things she said in ways she didn't intend. Regardless, we ended up having a massive blowout fight. We both decided we weren't fit to be in a relationship and broke up. We stayed in contact. I love her kids, and I still wanted to know how they were doing. A few months later, I came to visit a friend who lived nearby and stopped in to see her too. She seemed to have gotten herself together. She was on medication and was starting to feel like herself again. Slowly, we started talking again, just as friends. She apologized to me, took the blame, said she wanted to try being in a relationship again. I was hesitant. Neither of us were in a good enough headspace, so we agreed to put things on pause. A few months later, she told me she wanted to start dating other people because she was feeling lonely. I agreed. We remained really close friends, but I could see her mental health starting to dip again. She got heavily into fitness, working out 5 days a week, spending hundreds of pounds a month on a personal trainer. She loved the attention. I supported her and was proud, but I couldn't shake the worry that it was becoming an obsession. We went from talking every day to barely speaking for weeks. I took a step back and decided if she wants to talk to me, she'll reach out. If not, maybe we just weren't meant to be. I knew she was experimenting with drugs, sleeping around, and doing generally self-destructive things. Nothing I said could get through to her. Then, one day, I got a call from her neighbor. She had been rushed to the hospital, suspected brain injury or stroke. I dropped everything and drove there immediately. I ended up spending a week taking care of the kids and trying to get her proper help. Turns out, she had schizophrenia and suffered a full mental break. She was nonverbal and unresponsive for over 2 months. She spent 4 months in a psychiatric hospital. At first, we didn't even know what was wrong. All I knew was I needed to be there. Then I started hearing things from her family, that she'd been talking horribly about me behind my back, blaming me for everything. When I went to her house, it was horrific. 3 bin bags of rotten food, moldy sheets, filth everywhere. The kids were placed with her mother, and for 3 months I had no contact. Her family completely locked me out, even though I was the only person who had shown up to visit her in hospital. Eventually they got her on the right meds, and her memory came back. Although she still has a 4-month gap, I was the first person she contacted. The first person she remembered. Over the next year, we had several long, emotional conversations about what we are to each other. She told me she still loves me and wants to be together. I love her too, but I was, and still am, apprehensive. I've been burnt before. She blames a lot of what happened last year on the schizophrenia. And while I get it, I don't fully agree. Anyway, we started getting close again and ended up sleeping together in July. A month or so later, she asked if we were officially together. I said something like, yes and no, it's complicated. I told her I didn't want to be in a relationship until we had both done some counseling. Then, a few months later, I found out my dog, who was like a son to me, had cancer and was dying. He passed away on November 1st. I was devastated. My girlfriend was there for me, 100%. She loved my boy just as much as I did, and she grieved right alongside me. We spent Christmas together, and it was actually really nice. Then the worst thing happened. My mom died suddenly and unexpectedly, 2 weeks ago today. She was my everything. We were so close, and if I am being honest, I am really not coping well with her death. My girlfriend came down right away, without being asked, and spent 2 weeks with me. She looked after me, rocked me, while I sobbed like a baby. She was incredible. We talked about moving in together, becoming a real family. We told each other that we do love each other and want to spend the rest of our lives together. Then she told me she was pregnant. She had a one-night stand back in September, something she hadn't told anyone about. To be fair, we weren't officially together at that point, but we were definitely close. She told me she couldn't have another baby and wanted an abortion. I said I'd support her and that we could talk more afterward. Well, we went to the clinic today, and they told her she's measuring at 7.5 months pregnant. That puts conception solidly. During the time we were talking about getting back together, maybe not officially together, but emotionally tied, definitely. So now I am sitting here, in a relationship with a woman I love, grieving the death of my dog and my mom, both in the span of 2 months, facing financial hardship and potential homelessness, and now dealing with the fact that there's another person's baby on the way. She swears it was just that one time, and that she genuinely got the dates confused, because everything's been such a blur for her mentally. And honestly, I want to believe her. I told her I'd be there for her, and I meant it. But still, am I being an idiot? Edit, added spacing for clarity. Also, I just want to say, I feel incredibly comfortable with her. She's been there for me mentally and financially. She's so much better on her medication now. And I truly believe we have a strong, stable relationship at this point. And God, I love those damn kids. I've watched them grow up. They think of me as a second parent. Story 8. I am 36. She's 32. We've been together for 14 years, married for 10. We've always been child-free. She's always been a lot more vocal about it than me too. Active in local child-free groups, sharing memes about it on her social media, and generally ranting about how she hates parents and never wants kids. I am usually quite chill about it, but just as confirmed in never wanting kids. Basically, as the title said, we went on a break and we were allowed to sleep with other people. Well, she did. Her pill was affected, and she got knocked up. When we came back together, she found out she was pregnant and decided she wanted to keep it. She won't hear me out about why abortion is a good idea, and definitely isn't considering adoption either. We always had an agreement that if we had an accident, she'd have an abortion. Not ideal. But I've asked for a vasectomy multiple times and been refused by my GP. You guessed it, because I don't have kids and am too young to make that decision. So, I am absolutely devastated. We're in talks constantly, and we're at the stage where we've realized we won't be able to stay together. Divorce feels kind of inevitable. I feel so angry. I feel sad. I feel confused. I feel betrayed. I feel hurt. Not just for me, but for her too. As much as she is making this decision, I am distraught about what this is going to do to her. She worked hard for her degree, for her career. She's worked hard to keep her body perfect and toned. She's going to go on maternity leave and likely never get back to where she is now. She's going to gain weight, get stretch marks, and probably won't ever get her hard-earned figure back. But you know what pisses me off the most? People are all on her side. It's all her choice. I have to like it. Hell, people even tried to tell me I could stay and love this brat. That the bond with this thing is stronger than our long marriage, and I am a typical dumb man for not getting it. This year sucks. Edit 1. People are asking me why I care about her body. Here's why I made that comment. I explained it in an older comment. She always used the example of a woman getting pregnant, and it ruining their body, like getting stretch marks, etc. She said it would be the worst nightmare for her, as she's always taken care of herself, has a great six-pack, and she would hate to lose that. So it's more her own argument I was referring to. Iddy 2. We did not open up our relationship. We went on a break anyway, but gave our respective blessings that we could sleep with other people if the opportunity arose. It was not a split explicitly to sleep with other people. Story 9. A month and a half ago, I was at a Cubs home game. I sat next to a very attractive man, and it was flirtatious all evening. After a few drinks, I enthusiastically agreed to join him back at the Zachary Hotel across the street from Wrigley Field. Sex ensues. At the time, I had been on my first week of a pack of birth control pills after my period, and had been using the pills consistently for almost 2 years at that point. Never had a problem or even a scare. He wore a condom, so I figured I was safe. I said my goodbyes to him afterwards and gave him my number. He called once, but it came up blocked, like he doesn't want me calling him and annoying him or anything, but I haven't heard from him since the day after our encounter. He told me his first name, which easily could been a lie, and that's it. I have no information on where he works, what part of the city or suburbs he lives in, nothing. Flash forward, and I do not get my period. I am exhausted, sleeping 12 to 14 hours a day, and just feeling off. I take a pregnancy test, and it's positive, which I brought with me to the hotel when I came back to talk to them and ask for info. Side note, I am not insured and can definitely not afford a doctor's visit. I go to the Zachary Hotel and ask the front desk if there is any way they can tell me at least his name. There is security footage of me. I know for certain from the hall and in the elevator, they say it is against company policy to share that information with me. The manager comes out and tells me the same thing, company policy, blah blah, and then suggests I go to the police. I am not sure why the police would have information in their database about who stayed at their hotel on specific dates, unless they were just trying to get rid of me and make me leave. At this point, I am crying as I am super emotional about everything. The other day, I crunched a leaf while I was walking and cried because I missed another one on the sidewalk and didn't turn around for it. They ultimately give me a business card for some corporate HR man, but I am not convinced he will do any better for me. Do I have any rights to get this man's information? It doesn't help that I am a weeping puddle of a mess right now. Please don't shame me. I already feel disgusting and at the lowest of lows for being such an idiot and sleeping with a complete stranger. We both use protection, so this is a huge shock to me, but I need to get a plan. If I am going to go to the doctor, consider my other options, and tell my family. Nobody knows I am pregnant besides me, and now the front desk manager at the Zachary Hotel. I am doing my best to conceal myself. Thank God it's winter, but I need to figure out something soon. Thanks. Story 10. Male 22 here. I was visiting Japan, and on one of my nights in Kyoto, I met a girl who offered to show me the nightlife. She was a university student, and it was all super friendly throughout the night. Around 11 p.m. Yeah, I asked if she was heading home soon, since the last trains leave around 11:30 to midnight. She said it was okay, she could take a taxi later. Around 2 a.m., we had both been drinking a lot, and decided it was time to end the night. She asked if it was okay to stay at my hotel since it was closer, and I agreed, planning to give her the bed and sleep on the floor. When we got back, she invited me to the bed where she started to kiss my cheek and rub my chest. I think you know where that leads from there. Of course I was an idiot and didn't use any protection, but I didn't think much of it at the time since I didn't finish in her. 3 months passed, and I was starting a relationship with a new girl. Out of respect for my new relationship, I went through my followers and unfollowed past talking stages and one-night stands. About 2 weeks after that, she texted me, "Why are you so rude?" To which I responded something like, "I am sorry, I am in a relationship and it's inappropriate to follow you." I sent that text with no ill intent, as I wish nothing but the best for her. 2 minutes passed, and my heart dropped to my feet. I am pregnant. I replied instantly with, "How long have you known? Can we please talk about this? I can return if you want to talk in person. Please respond." No reply for an hour. I checked to see if she saw the messages, and found myself blocked. I used my alt account, and texted her again asking to talk this through. Blocked again. Now I am sitting here with my mind racing at the thought of possibly having a kid in 6 months. I reached out planning to take full responsibility. I've already thought of every outcome where I'd be there to support her in whatever she chooses to do. I am still working in Asia for about 9 months. Then I'd move back to the US for good. I don't even know her full name. She only knows my name and my Instagram handle. What the fuck should I do? Story 11. I found out my husband conceived a daughter from a one-night stand. He claims it was a one-night stand. Who knows what to believe anymore? The thing I don't get is, how can you be stupid enough to knock somebody up during a one-night stand? If you're going to sleep with a random person you just met, let alone cheat on your wife, at least be smart enough to cover your bases. He and I have been together for 12 years. We have 1 son. He also has a son from his first marriage. I think this is my fault for putting myself in this situation. He cheated during his first marriage and conceived a child out of wedlock. I should have probably just run far away as soon as I found that out. He promised he had changed. He acknowledged how selfish, irresponsible, and reckless he was. He was young, in his 20s when all that happened. Yes, still plenty old enough to know it was wrong. But I fell so hard for him, like nobody I'd ever been with before. He made me feel so good, so happy, and he was a great husband to me. As far as I knew, he had calmed down, wasn't this crazy 20-something partier anymore, was a family man, but we still had tons of fun. I got pregnant after we had been together for only 6 months. I had been forced into having an abortion when I fell pregnant in a previous long-term relationship and I couldn't go through it again. I do support abortion rights, but I also support choice and not being threatened into any decision you don't want to make. Anyway, this time I wanted to keep the baby. We both did. We were very much in love and still buzzing on the new relationship energy. So I gave birth to our son, and he really was a very involved dad. He also shared custody of his older son, and we did family things all the time, and I even eventually became pretty friendly with his ex-wife. Even she saw a huge difference in him from when they were married, and after he and I got together. She essentially said she'd never want to be married to him again, but the version of him that I got was always the version she wanted him to be for her, and he never was. There were no major problems in our marriage. We had disagreements. We each had habits that annoyed the hell out of each other, But all in all, we were like best friends. We didn't spend a ton of time apart. We liked hanging out together. Still, we were always having fun and could make each other laugh and just seemed to be super comfortable and content with everything. Sex was fine, and no, that's not me as a woman saying the sex was fine when in reality it was a few times a month. He met this woman through work. They don't work together, but he encountered her through a work function, slept with her that same night. He claims he doesn't know why he did it. He drank too much. He wasn't thinking. She's not even attractive. He doesn't want to be with her. These are all the things he keeps saying to me. She got pregnant and contacted him as soon as she found out. Told him she was keeping the baby. Did he inform me? Nope. He kept it a secret. She contacted him several times throughout the pregnancy, informing him about her plans to sue him for child support. He still didn't bother to clue me in. The baby was born. A girl. My husband requested a DNA test. Again, all behind my back. He's been working with a lawyer and everything. He's the daddy. Finally, this woman contacted me because apparently he's threatening to fight the child support order. And that's how I found out that my husband is now a father of 4, 2 of which are affair babies. I am devastated, to the point of barely being able to function. It's been roughly 48 hours since I found out. There's been screaming, crying, just a feeling of total devastation. And now I just feel sort of frozen. I am paralyzed, and feel like I should be doing all of these things, filing for divorce immediately, taking my son, and leaving. I can barely take a shower or eat a few bites of food, let alone take any major action right now. I feel all of this pressure to do something about it, and it's like I can't even breathe. Story 12. I had a one-night stand with a guy a month ago. I met him at a bar, and we went to my home. I haven't been with anyone since then. When I missed my period, I decided to take a test, and it was positive. We used a condom, but it still happened. I haven't had a romantic partner in a long time. I have been thinking about having children for some time, and I feel like the universe decided it for me. I have a great career, and am okay with being a single mother. I'll have the kid. But I don't know if I should tell the father. What if he doesn't want it? I also don't know who he is. The only thing I know about him is his first name. Will I have any legal problems in the future if I don't tell him? If I need to find him, how should I do it? I live in the US. Update. I went back to the bar yesterday and talked to the bartender. She told me that he was a regular, so I waited there until he came. He was surprised when I told him I wanted to talk to him in private. He freaked out initially when I told him that I was pregnant, but calmed down when I said he didn't have to be involved in any way. He was very nice after that. He asked me multiple times if I was okay being a single mother and told me parenting was hard but worth it. He told me that his wife was divorcing him and that the proceedings started a few months ago. They had 2 children but grew apart, and the divorce was hitting him hard emotionally. We talked for a few hours, and when I told him I wanted him to terminate his parental rights, he agreed. I wanted to talk about the amount of prejudice against single parenting I saw in the comments of my original post. I knew it was a thing, but I didn't think it was this widespread. There were many comments saying the kid would have a bad childhood if there aren't 2 parents. This is a huge misconception, and you people need to let go of it. The number of parents doesn't matter. Only the parenting does. I am going to be a single mother by choice. My parents and close friends know that I've been contemplating being a single mother for some time, and they're okay with it and support me. I am telling people I got pregnant through a sperm donor. Like I said in the original post, I have a great career. I work pretty high up in my organization and have a very flexible schedule. I want to thank all the people who replied with helpful advice on my previous post without judging my choices. I did not know this much prejudice against single parenting still existed. Update. I got pregnant through a one-night stand asking for some advice about the father. I've been contemplating being a single mother by choice for some time, so I decided to keep the baby. I got a lot of hate and judgment for making that choice. People threw statistics at me telling me how children of single parents turn out badly. I knew there was prejudice against single parenting, but didn't think it was this widespread and extreme. A lot of people called me selfish, and the negative comments drowned out the positive ones. Why do people still hate single mothers? I have a great career and a flexible schedule. My parents and close friends support me and my decision to be a single mother. I talked to an attorney to make sure that there aren't any problems with the father in the future. Story 13. Throwaway because I have family members on my personal account. I am a single mother to a beautiful little girl from a one-night stand about 4.5 years ago. I had just finished college and had just moved. I wasn't looking for anything serious. It also happened just before I left on my 2-month-long post-college vacation. I have been dating this man for 4 months. He's met my daughter once. They get along extremely well, but I don't let them overlap too much. I don't want to expose her to passing flings. And though he has mentioned wanting to continue this, we aren't quite serious yet. Prior to last week, he'd been coming back to my place because I had a bad experience going back to another man's place a year ago. So I went back to his place for the first time. It's the same building as that man's. I didn't really recognize it until we pulled into the parking garage and went up the elevator, but I knew it was. I recognized the hallways instantly. It also had a very recognizable condo smell. I don't know why I remember that, but I feel like they use the cleaning solutions that spas use. It smells like eucalyptus and apartment musk. The condo itself is similar, but it's been 4 years, and I honestly don't remember anything but his room, that he had a red couch, and the layout, which I am assuming is similar for most of the condos. He doesn't have the couch, but the layout's the same, and I am pretty sure it has the same view from its main window. Before people come at me for not hunting him down, etc. When we slept together, I had just moved to the city after my master's. I never would have found his condo myself. I bust back. Also, we had obviously been drinking. It's been a week, but I am genuinely thinking it's him now because, though they were busy, we met both times at 2 very similar events. 4 years ago, the man had shoulder-length wavy dark hair and a thick beard when we slept together. He does have a similar skin tone, kind of Mediterranean. The man I am dating has short-cropped dark hair, light stubble, and glasses. He is also of Italian background. They have the same name. It's a very basic American name, so I never connected it together. Also, to make it worse, I likely look very different too. I used to be very thin and suffered from an eating disorder that my pregnancy really helped me overcome. I've gained 30 pounds, which I really needed. I also had short hair that I straightened, and I am half black, and admittedly look very different now with my longer curly hair. I've been dwelling on this for the entire week. I don't know what I am asking, but I don't know if I also need legal advice, or if I should cut contact, 'cause even if he isn't him, I don't think I'll be able to get over this weird feeling that he is. Is there a way to bring this up? Should I message him and let him have the option to ghost me? I am scared he'll think I am crazy if I bring this up, or that I planned it or something weird like that. How do I approach this? Or should it not be approached at all? It's so freaking mental, I don't know what to do. Sorry if absolutely none of this makes any sense. Also, to be clear, I am stable time-wise and money-wise. I do not need this man in my life. My daughter has 2 amazing father figures in her uncles who visit every other day and absolutely love their roles in her life and would probably steal her if they could. Edit, it's him. He had the red couch, I remembered. So if anyone has any suggestions about how to tell a man this, that would be great. Thanks. Edit 2. I sent him this post. I didn't know how else to do it. He saw it half an hour ago and has yet to respond. So I am going to bed. Edit 3. I woke up to a lot more comments than I was expecting. I just dropped my daughter at her uncle's, so I will respond to what I can now. I am getting some flack for telling him this way, but until you're in an absolutely insane position like this, you don't know how impossible it is to broach a topic like this. I am not a shy person, but this was enough to almost make me contemplate ghosting him, even though I do like him and I know it's wrong. We've been talking for 6 months and dating for 4. He asked about monogamy 2 weeks ago. I agreed. With this post, I sent him a picture of me from 5 years ago and told him the event, when, where, and any other small details I could remember, and the sonogram with the date I have on my fridge. He messaged at like 4 a.m. to say, yes, I was there. I remember you. I've seen the text bubbles popping up and disappearing all morning. I don't have any other update, and I am not sure I will. I clearly only looked for potential partners who would be okay with a woman with a kid in the picture. My daughter is the world to me. But I am not sure how this cannot be an incredible shock. I am going to give him time and contact my family's lawyer with the crap storm I know I've just caused. I do want to have a laugh, though, at the people who think it's impossible for me to have forgotten what a one-night stand looked like. It was 5 years ago. We've both clearly changed a lot, and we had been drinking. There are people I don't recognize from university who sat next to me in class for a year. Thanks for the help earlier. I'll probably have to delete this, but this has really helped me calm down. I used to journal a lot before I had my daughter. Story 14. I had a one-night stand 6 weeks ago and used a condom, but clearly it did not work. I am at a stage in my life where I am ready to accept this baby, as unexpected as it may be. I am financially stable, have a lucrative job with great maternity and child care benefits, and my family lives nearby and would be willing to help out. I haven't told them yet, but I know they would. On the flip side, the guy I had a one-night stand with is 20 and in his second year of university. He is definitely in no position to be a father, and I don't want him to feel indebted in any way. Clearly, I did not know that this one-night stand would lead to anything further. Should I tell him that I am going to have his baby, and how do I tell him? Should I wait until the end of the first trimester to tell him, just in case this pregnancy ends? Even typing that makes me feel devastated, which only reinforces that I want to keep this baby. How do I ensure that he knows I don't expect anything from him? Edit. I wrote this in a comment, but I realized I should add it here as well. His family is a pretty important family in the city he is from, and they might not take well to this scandal of him having a child while in university, which is another complicated element in this situation. He was low-key about it, but he mentioned some things during our time together that made me realize he grew up in that lifestyle. My friend Googled his name and found that his grandfather is the CEO of a company that employs 40% of the city he is from, and they're pretty high society. We live a long way from the city his family is in, so it doesn't matter that much, but I don't want them thinking I am going to ask them for money. I have no intention of doing that at all, and am perfectly capable of supporting the baby financially. Story 15. A woman I had a one-night stand with told me she's pregnant. A couple of months ago, I went out with some friends and had too much to drink. I was drunk and high, dancing, and I ended up dancing with this girl. I was wasted, so I let her use my card to get us a hotel room because I lost my friends and didn't know what else to do. I don't remember much of what we did, but I know we had sex. Today she asked if I would call her, and she was crying and saying she's pregnant and it might be mine. She said it could be one other person, a friend she hooked up with a couple of times but who won't talk to her. She says she's scared and wants an abortion but doesn't know how to get one. I told her to call the doctor or go to a walk-in clinic and she started sobbing. I don't really want to go with her or anything because I don't know her at all. Do I owe it to her? Edit. I am taking her for the abortion. I just don't know if I can support her emotionally. She's not a helpless child. She's at least 35. I am helping her make the appointment and driving her to it. Story 16. I hooked up with a girl in mid-July. She told me she was on birth control, so I didn't pull out. We went one round. About a week or two later, she started posting ultrasounds on Snapchat, and I know me and this girl have never even asked each other how each other's day is, so I didn't think twice. Then about a week and a half after we hooked up, she was also posting a lot of Snapchats on her story about how men ain't and no one's there for her when she needs it. Blah blah. I never commented because we weren't remotely serious, so I never cared to. So early September comes and she messages me. I hear from her for the first time in about 2 months. She hits me with a "Can I talk to you about something?" and I already knew where she was going. Long story short, she proceeds to say she's pregnant and it could be mine, and she quickly was saying she knows because we hooked up July 15th, and the doctor said she's 7 weeks and 4 days. Instantly, my questions are, how come you waited 2 months to tell me? If you truly think I was the father. No, she probably was happy to have the baby with her guy, the reason she was on birth control, and once they broke up, she probably looked to see who else she could pin it on. I told her to get the fez out. She said she wanted me to pay for a DNA test once it's born, knowing that if it's mine she could slap me with child support for the next 18 years. I instantly told her to fess off, Told her I know she was with someone else, if not multiple people. Then she replies, the other guy is going to step up and pay for a test, but if it isn't his, then she knows it's mine. I told her I am not getting into that talk of whether the two guys were her only partners. I asked, and she said multiple times she doesn't need or want my money and that her and her family will be fine taking care of the baby. I said don't hit me up then, I want nothing to do with it. Mine or not, that was it. So, 5 days later, I messaged once, because I wanted to be clear, and she didn't reply or view my last message. I think you'd want to talk to the potential father of your kid? I told her I want to be clear. I called her and asked if she plans to trap me next year when she has it. She said twice, I don't need crap from you. The baby will be good, just don't try to come around once you feel guilty. I said, okay, cool, I just don't want any surprises. So you aren't going to try to hit me up next year or put me on child support? And she said, dude, you will never hear from me again. I said, okay, thanks, good luck, wish you the best, and left it at that. My girlfriend said it's a 50-50. I told her, the guy who initially had her on birth control probably had sex with her way more than I did. I don't believe me and him share equal 50-50 odds. Also, she may have the baby and be full of pride and not even want to hit up someone she hasn't talked to in months, who she knows wants nothing to do with her. Do you think she'll actually not contact me? Also, what can I do besides pray? I believe common sense says it's probably not mine, but I just need other perspectives. TLDR, had a one-night stand, contacted me 2 months into her pregnancy to tell me it might be mine. She says she doesn't need or want child support. Made it clear, I want nothing to do with the situation, mine or not. Is there a chance she won't try to contact me? Story 17. I 25. F hooked up with a guy 37M over a month ago. It wasn't all physical. We had an emotional connection. We talked for hours and hours after he brought me home, before finally having sex. Then we slept in each other's arms. The next day, he gave me a shirt to go home in, because I was cold. He was sweet. Nothing else could happen, because I was just visiting from out of town. He seemed sorry that I lived so far away. I live in a small backwater town in the country. He said, a girl like you won't be there long. You'll find your way back to the big city. He gave me his phone number before we parted ways. He told me during the night we spent together that he'd always wanted children. It was a big thing for him. I was late on my period this month but didn't worry too much, as my cycles vary quite a bit. But when I skipped my September period altogether, I got worried. I took a pregnancy test when I was 4 weeks late, and it came out positive. I was so scared. He had to be the father since I hadn't been with anybody else since him, or for months before him. I was waiting for a good time to tell him or anybody else. I told my best friend but nobody else. I was panicky. I made an appointment with an OBGYN. It was confirmed that I was pregnant. Not even a full 2 weeks after finding out, I started bleeding heavily with severe cramps. I miscarried. My doctor confirmed it. Should I reach out to tell him? It feels sad to me. I was starting to get excited about having a baby, and now I am not. I don't want to tell my family. They'd get pissed that I got knocked up by some random guy. I want to tell the only other person who might understand, but I am afraid that it would be in poor taste to do so. Furthermore, what if he doesn't believe me? Should I tell him? Or should I keep this to myself? Story 18. I recently visited Japan and had a one-night stand. No protection was used. And 1 month later, I received a message saying she's pregnant. She is going to keep the baby. I do not live in Japan. She has told me she is keeping the baby regardless of what I do, but she would prefer if I come to Japan and live with her. She would like me to help raise the child and hopefully have some sort of romantic relationship. She would like me to get legally married so she can save face and I can stay in Japan without any visa issues. A large part of me says I need to go to Japan because this child will need a father. Also, I am the sort of person who takes responsibility for his actions. But another part of me says this is crazy as I don't know the girl and don't want this child. Yes, I would 100% prefer if this pregnancy never happened, but as I said, I am willing to take responsibility. Can I get your general advice on this? I am very confused. Story 19. I had a one-night stand 2 months ago with a guy I met at a bar when I was out with my friends. We hit it off, but during our chit-chat, we both mentioned that we weren't looking for relationships, which was great. We agreed to head back to his place for some NSA fun, and that was that. I left the next morning, we exchanged numbers, but I never contacted him, and he never contacted me. Present day, I find out I am pregnant. It's definitely his because he was my only sexual encounter in the last 4 months. I am ecstatic because I was told by countless doctors that I may never be able to conceive due to my aggressive endometriosis. This was not planned. I didn't try to trap the guy or get someone to knock me up. I honestly didn't think I could get pregnant because my ex and I didn't use any method for 4 years and nothing happened. I am happy to be having this baby because I always wanted kids and I was pretty sure I was going to end up adopting. I am not looking for child support. And I am financially in a great place. Great job, I own my own home, and work is taken care of even during maternity leave. I told a couple of my closest friends, and even though they're happy for me, one friend is really pissed off because I have no plans of telling my one-night stand about the pregnancy. I don't want or need child support, and I am pretty sure he's happy living his bachelor life since he made it clear he's not looking for any commitments. And a child is like the biggest commitment there is. I can definitely tell this wasn't his first one-night stand rodeo, and he likes what he does. I am also not really looking to co-parent with someone that I don't know anything about or want a relationship with. I know this sounds harsh, but I am kind of looking at it like a sperm donor situation. I made it clear that I would never do anything malicious or try to pin child support on him at a later date. Story 20. A while ago I became pregnant after a one-night stand. For my own reasons, I decided to have and keep the baby. Just to add a bit of understanding, I am a middle-aged, established woman, and he is a middle-aged, established man. I told him about the pregnancy, and he was very upset and expressed worry about money and future dating prospects. I told him I didn't want anything from him and would raise the child on my own. He said some harsh, borderline cruel things about my character and future. I knew it was an upsetting situation, so I wished him well and went on my way. All this happened in one conversation early in the pregnancy. The baby is now a toddler. We are doing well and my child is thriving. Still, some people around me really don't understand my decision to not attempt to contact the biological father again. They seem to think that I should at least attempt to contact him one more time because the reality of having a child is a bit different than a random woman telling you she's pregnant. I see their point, but at the same time, I don't really want to invite undue stress into his life nor mine. So women of Reddit, do you think further contact is advised? P.S. Of course, I've recognized there are things I am going to have to address when my child gets old enough to ask questions, and I will deal with those as they come. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.